Looks like you know what you're doing.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Doesn't matter. It's looking like you know what you're doing.
Oh, thanks, babe. Everybody listening, this is my buddy Josh Newman. Go subscribe to his podcast, Reality Playground Podcast. I'll put it in the description. Sticky in the top comment. Josh is a North Korean national. He was arrested by Interpol for racketeering and a globalist cabal of satanic bestiality. And he joins us from Pyongyang, North Korea.
Yeah. Konnichiwa. Oh, wait, no.
You dropped your mask. You know, I was thinking, the last time you came on was the day of the election.
Yeah.
Right? Because we
it was the day before, right?
Oh, yeah. We were like, you know.
No, it was the day.
I think it was the day of. Because we both voted and we came back and we were like, you know, I'm glad we voted. You know, like, everything seemed calm and normal. And we were like, this is good. This is good. Yeah. And then we kind of paused and you go, but the reality is it's all going to go to shit. And I was like, I don't know how, but it will. And here we are. So
yeah, it's been an interesting couple of months, hasn't it?
It has been wildly interesting. I got to go witness January 6th, which was insane.
Tell me all about that. How did what made you decide to go? Did you just go by yourself? Did you go with a group of buddies? Like, tell me about it.
I went with a friend. I know I'm outspoken in this, and I guess I'll find out tomorrow. I do think something fishy happened on the election. I watched it live till 4 a.m. I think Trump won, but that's a discussion for. I've done that enough times. I wanted to just go see it. I was like, I want to go see what happens. Like, is it going to be overturned? Like, when's the last time, you know, electors have been sent back to their states? I had no idea what was going to happen. I went and recorded almost my entire time there. The only time I didn't record is when I went back to a hotel to get some lunch. But I went out near, like, the Washington Monument. I saw someone talk. It was fucking freezing, and I had to pee. What a surprise. And I was out there for like 45 minutes, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to the hotel. So I went back with my friend. We ate Subway. We watched Trump talk on TV. Literally took naps, and then got up and decided to like walk towards the Capitol. And like downtown was deserted. I was actually wearing this sweatshirt, and some National Guard guys saw it, and they were like, "Fuck yeah!" And I was like,
"Everybody loves the A-10."
Yeah, I was like, "Yes." And yeah, then we were walking there, and I had never I had visited DC before, probably technically I've been in the city limits before, but I never actually seen anything. So to me, I was kind of just like doe-eyed the whole time. Seeing the Washington Monument, I was like, holy shit. Like seeing the White House, I was like, fuck, like there's the thing.
Cool place.
Yeah, it's like there's the thing. It's real. There it is. Seeing the never seen the Capitol before. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Walking towards it, again, boring. Like boring walking towards it.
Yeah.
And we got there, and I do remember like the first thing I started to like notice was like, man, I have not seen like a single cop. Like leaving the speech originally to go back to the hotel, we saw like motorcades and stuff. I mean, they all have motorcades, so you know, sirens and shit. But walking towards the Capitol, I vividly remember thinking, I was like, man, we're just like walking on up, and just like, you know, a mile away, half a mile away, 1/10 of a mile away. And it was like, and again, never seen it. So I'm just walking around, and as you get closer, you just kind of see everyone standing there. And I remember as we were getting closer, and I took down the video, or YouTube made me take it down, and then I put it up, and then I took it down, and then I put it up a third time, and then they took it down. So I'm just keeping it off now. But I remember as we're getting closer, you hear like this muffled like boom. It was like, you know, you kind of hear it like echo off surfaces.
Yeah.
And it was almost like cognitive dissonance. I was like, I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that. And just kind of kept walking. Literally, it was like, I'm not addressing that.
Right.
It's like finding a lump. It's like doing a self-breast exam. I'm just not, you know, fuck it. I don't care. I'm already 90. I'm not getting chemo.
Yeah.
So I was walking closer, and maybe like 10, 15 seconds later, there was like a double. It's like, doom, doom. And again, it's kind of like slapping off the flat surfaces. And I go, did you hear that? My friend goes, yep. And I go, what was that? My friend goes, nothing good. I go, let's keep walking. And we get closer, and there's like a thing, I guess there's like a roundabout. Again, maybe this wasn't the best first time to go to the Capitol during like an insurrection, but I guess, hey, you know, call gotta, you know, life comes at you fast. But I was there, and I saw there's like a roundabout or something. Like there's like a little statue type thing. I mean, it's all historic shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, and everything I'm saying, I have video of. So there's no like false claim. Like I'm only describing what I have video of. And like I saw people sitting on there, kind of waving flags. Like, all right, you saw a bunch of goofy people with like, you know, like people had like Pepe flags and stuff, and you know, people were dressed up as like the flying spaghetti monster. You know, it was kind of just like, it was almost like meme con, right? You had a bunch of old people. You had like your Q crowd. You had your just like pro-Trump crowd. You had your like clear military veterans crowd. And then you almost just kind of had that like semi like frat boy, semi like meme, keck, you know, just kind of everything that you can do that's offensive, right? You know, I'm a non-binary Foxkin. Just, I mean, pretty funny. Getting closer. And at one point I kind of stand up on this like ledge, because I'm not a tall man. And I stand up on this like ledge, and I'm like looking around, and I zoom in on the roundabout again, and then you can hear it again, like boom, boom. And I was just like, fuck. Like, I was like, no one's running, so it's like, it's clearly not gunfire. And there's this black guy walking around with a microphone saying, hide your kids, hide your wife, Biden's in the basement. And I was like, kind of laughing. And then as I see this guy, and I have this on film, this guy like walking towards us, and his like face is all flushed and red, and he's crying, like clearly tear gassed.
Yeah.
And he's walking away from us, and he's saying Andrew Cuomo's police department is up there gassing people. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, that's not true.
Yeah, what is
yeah.
He doesn't mean like he's talking about the National Guard?
No, he was talking about Andrew Cuomo's police department. He was making it sound, at that point, mind you, there's no like, there's so many people there, there's no service, right? There's no cell service. Yeah. Let me back up. So when I was first there, like that's one of the most people I've ever seen in my life, save maybe like being at like the Georgia Dome during like the Chick-fil-A, the Peach Bowl or whatever, or maybe like downtown Athens on like a game day. This might have been more than that. This is the most people I've ever seen in one spot. And went back to the hotel and like turned on the news, and I saw them like covering it. And that was the first, because like anyone can say, oh, like, you know, media's fake, but it's like you have to back up extraordinary claims. And claiming that the media is fake is a big claim. As mainstream as it may seem, that's a big claim, because you're physically not where they are, so you don't know what they're covering. That was, I saw them zoomed in, I was like, man, that doesn't look like a lot of people. And then, you know, someone was like, and then Trump is like, they're not going to show the whole crowd. So like the news station kind of pans around, almost kind of like, fuck you, we will show the whole crowd. But even then, they kind of showed this like field with like maybe 100, 150 people. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, there's 100,000 people there. It is an ocean. Like, yeah. It is an ocean. Like a couple times I jump up on like sidewalks or, you know, like a food vendor stand and kind of look around. Again, not a tall guy. It is an ocean. And I was like, that's incorrect. I'm also biased. I'm conservative. I like Trump. Of course I'm going to write. I'm not going to agree with the media. So I'm trying to like stay aware of my cognitive dissonance. But I was like,
very mature of you.
Yeah. The bold words of you to say. Yeah. It means a lot coming from a North Korean national. But right. For the record, Josh is not a North Korean national. He's actually a U.S. Armed Forces veteran, and I love him. I love you. But I was up there. Yeah. And I was up there watching. So I was watching the news in the hotel, and they weren't showing it. So we were going to other channels, and some people were, you know, there's almost no one here. But I was thinking, I was like, I was turning from my hotel and looking at the crowd, you know, because it's live coverage. Yeah. So I'm watching them say, you know, the president says that we're not going to show everyone. Well, you know, here is the crowd, you know, moderate sized. But I'm like looking at that. And then I'm turning my head and I'm looking at a biblical ocean of people. And I was like, well, okay, well that's fake. That's patently false. There's helicopters flying around filming because there's so many people. Okay. So that was the first time I'd ever seen it with my own eyes. It is fake. And if you're not physically in the location of whatever it is that the news is covering, you are kind of at the mercy of their metaphorical periscope. You can only see what they're showing you. And you kind of have, I'm in Ocean City, Maryland right now. If there's a breaking news from Seattle, I don't have like people on the ground there. I see what they see. So,
right.
So put that in the back of your mind. So I want to go to the Capitol because it seems historic, but I'm also like, okay, they just completely misrepresented that crowd of people. If something historic is about to happen, is it going to be misrepresented? Little did I know. And so fast forward, there's this guy walking, going Andrew Cuomo's police department, and my first thought was so there's like no cell service because there's so many people. That my first thought was, okay, like, hearing the booms and then hearing...
I thought maybe they were jamming.
Possibly. Who knows? I mean, but anytime I've been, UGA football game, whenever you're in a place of hundreds of thousands of people, you just can't get a text out, like, period. So...
I guess I didn't realize that.
Me neither. And I could be wrong. I could be factually wrong. Regardless, I was not getting anything. So there's this guy walking. He's going, that's Andrew Cuomo's police department. And I'm not Columbus, but I feel like I have somewhat of a good like grasp on geography, like relative. I mean, when I say good, I mean like kindergarten. And I'm like, I know for a fact New York is not like a 10 minutes away. Okay? That's what I mean by grasp. All right? North, I know Miami's south, right? And I know China's on the other side. That's what I mean by grasp. General cardinal direction and orientation. So my first thought was, okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so it's, is there election fraud? Is Pence going to send the electors back? If he does not, this crowd's going to be angry. If he does, the left is going to be angry. There's no winning here. So boom. So that knowledge, the explosions or the bangs. I don't want to be hyperbolic. The explosions, the bangs.
Yeah.
No service. So it's all these kind of pieces are starting to come up in the air. And then there's this guy walking saying Andrew Cuomo's. So my first thought was like, oh, I don't have service. But I was like, so the nation's descended into like civil war. And, naturally, what would you do if you were a governor, you didn't have your army, you're a police department? In a post-apocalyptic world, this is where my mind goes. In a post-apocalyptic world, if you had a police department, well, there's your army. You're a warlord.
Right.
Okay. So, and mind you, it's completely in the dark. I can look back at it now in hindsight. But in that moment, and just kind of starstruck by seeing everything, I was like, that's odd. And like a mature, sane individual, I decided to walk closer towards where all of this is happening. And so I'm walking closer, and again, kind of walking all over the lawn, and I was like, I didn't know that like they let people do this, but there's so many people, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of looking I'm like, oh, whoa, there's the inauguration stage. So I'm in like half of like, oh, am I about to witness civil war? And the other half of me is like, soccer mom, like taking the kids to like sightsee. I'm like, there's the Capitol, like, So it's this weird mixture of like fear and just like novel excitement. Like I'm a geek. I'm like, oh, cool, there's the Capitol. And we're walking closer, and I see and you're hearing bangs more and more. And you can just start to see smoke kind of at like the base of like the scaffolding. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, there does need to be law and order. And I was like, I guess that makes sense if they're shooting tear gas. I was like, sure. I don't agree with it. I think that there's some fuckery going on with the election. But, we can't descend and we can't be barbarians. And this is all what's going through my head. Walking closer, see a second veteran. And I have this guy in camera, and I went up and actually filmed him for like 2 minutes. Tear gas, eyes bloodshot, Vietnam vet. And he was saying, like, fuck them. Like, they just gassed me. I'm like, okay. You see a lot of guys kind of in like their, like, right, their kits, right? The body plates.
But were these guys, were they actually in the Capitol building, the ones getting gassed?
I don't know. I'm walking you through as I'm walking up, right? So maybe at this point I'm like still like 100. The first guy saying Andrew Cuomo's police department was probably like 200 yards from like the steps. The second guy, older guy, Vietnam vet, I'm probably like 100 yards. And again, you can look at the video. It's me, and I'm panning up, and I'm panning, getting closer, seeing guys with like full kits on and stuff, and you're starting to hear it louder. Boom, 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 boom. But no one's like running and screaming. So I'm like, okay, it's not gunfire. And again, so I'm like, I'm kind of drawn. I'm like, I have to walk towards it. Like, what the fuck's going on? And again, it's mostly boring. It's just older. I say older. I'm 30. I mean, it's 50, 60. It's a lot. You know, you got, again, you're younger, kind of Keck Pepe guys, but it's a lot of you know, veteran guys. A lot of guys that look like the guests I have on this podcast. Like, boom, 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 tear gas. You can hear someone yell, Antifa's gassing, and in my mind, I'm still like, I don't think that's true. But regardless, like, whoever is gassing, that's not like a non-story. Like, there's being tear gas shot at the Capitol. Like, whether it's riot police, whether it's, you know, MS-13, whether it's fucking, you know, McDonald's, like, it doesn't. There's still tear gas being shot at the Capitol. Walking towards it, and then it's almost like, if you've ever seen like videos from like the crowd at like a baseball game or a football game, where it's not like the network's like high def, you know, panning of the running back breaking free. But think of like every time you've seen like a video on YouTube where it's like a camera recording from within the stands, and maybe you can't see the football field that well, but all of a sudden you hear like, and you're like, you know that like someone just broke free, they're going for the touchdown.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you just hear like, and it's just people start screaming, and I was like, so I turn and I look at the steps, and I just see like slow motion. I see people running up, like literally carrying these flags that are like fluttering in the wind and like screaming. And I was just like, at this point, now I'm hooked. Now I'm like, so the Civil War has begun. And my great grandkids are going to be like, yeah, my grandpa was at Lexington and Concord. Like, I was like, so here we are. And at that moment, there was this like, you know, okay, like this can't end well. And I figured like, so they're either going to use like, and again, as a 30-year-old that's shot a gun a handful of times, like it's probably hyperbole, but I was like, so they're probably going to like fire on people, or like, I really don't see any other way this is going to end. And at that point I was like, I feel like I'm so close now that if anything happens, I'm probably fucked. And yeah, what? Yeah. So I was, exactly. So I was kind of like, I'm already here, right? It's like if you're already like, that's a shitty analogy. That was a retarded analogy. But you're already there, right? You're already at the party. You've already snuck out of your house. You've already stolen your parents' alcohol. You've already lied and said you're going to Bob's house, but the reality is you're at Susie's party. You're already there. Your crush is there. You're already drunk. You're underage. Your parents think you're somewhere else. You stole their car. You might as well ask her if she wants to make out. You know?
Well,
what?
Make it worth it.
Yeah, it's like fuck it. You might as well, right? And so I see that and I'm like, holy shit, they're storming the Capitol. Of course, I'm like a dramatic, like, hype, you know, so I'm like, oh my God, they're like sieging the Capitol. And I was still just like, whew. But part of me was just like, I just want to like catch this on film. And then like, I like pan to the left, and then I see this like wall, and I see people just climbing, like ants climbing up. And I was like, holy shit. And then you can see like above them, you can already see a crowd moving like horizontally. So they're already up on this. Mind you, I've never been in the Capitol. So like, I'm still figuring out the layout, like as I'm watching this. And so like, I'm going on a sightseeing tour, like during like what I think is like the opening shots of the Civil War. So at this point I'm like, well, you know, this is some great footage. So the person I'm with, I'm like, hey, do you want to go right towards the steps, or you want to go left towards like that wall of what looks like Lord of the Rings, like Helm's Deep or like Minas Tirith, like scaling the walls. My friend's like, let's go left. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. So we're walking towards there, and I'm just like, well, you know, this is good. This is fun. People are scaling the walls. I go right up to the base, and then I go, this insurrection sponsored by Tommy's podcast. Just, and I'm watching people. I'm not climbing up there, dude. I have no like hand-eye coordination. I can barely climb a ladder. I'm watching people scale it. I turn around, and now I'm up on a little bit of a hill, and I pan back towards like the Washington Monument, and that's the first time I truly saw. Like, I thought I saw the size of the crowd earlier at the speeches. Now I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my god, it is an ocean. And I was like, this is nothing about this is going to end well. And I was like,
yeah,
well, I'm here. So I start walking towards the steps. I'm like, I'm going to go up. I was like, fuck it, I'm here. I don't want to puss out. Like, I'm already here. If I was back at the hotel, I definitely would not have left to go join it. But I'm already here, and I'm like, so I'm going in. Whether or not I even agree with, I'm going in. And I walk towards, and I see this dude just pissing on the side of the Capitol. And I was just like, well, here we are. And I go up, and there are the steps. And mind you, at this point, I have still yet to see a police officer. This entire walk from the hotel, this 20-minute walk from the hotel to now I'm like touching the wall of the Capitol. I've yet to see a single police officer. None. Riot gear, no National Guard, no. They were all around this speech earlier, like 2 hours prior. I've not seen a single person.
That's fucking crazy to me.
That's very weird. But again, I'm just going to relay what I saw. I don't want to project my own conspiracy on they told them to stand down. No, I'm just going to relay what I saw. Yeah. And what I have what I have video of. So, right, because it's, hindsight, your memory is all fucked up. So I'm
I told you, you're reminding me of a young Alex Jones over there.
Well, here we go.
In the Bohemian Grove days.
Yeah. Oh my God, there they are. They're making the sacrifice, weaving spiders. So I was like, well, okay. And I go over, and mind you, and I also, not only did I not see any like push through barricades, I didn't even see barricades. I go closer, I see some of them stacked up against the wall, but again, it almost looks like football training equipment in like the off season. It's all like neatly stacked. Everyone's climbing up, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go. And so I climb up, just reach your hands up, pull yourself up. There are the stairs. I start walking up. I turn back around, see even more people. I'm right next to the scaffolding. I see a ton of people climbing on the scaffolding, and I'm like, well, that's gonna fall over, and that's gonna kill everyone. So now I'm like, well, now I have to move forward. And so I walk up, and it's like getting higher and higher, and I'm still not on like the stairs yet. And so I finally hop over the stairs, and then it's clear, and then I walk up, and it's almost like the eye of the storm. Once I got up there's just people walking around. There's like someone with like there's a couple people like standing there texting, and it's like, so it's this crazy this crescendo of people, and then it's like you get up there, and there's no tear gas, there's no one, and I was like, what is, right? It's like getting blue balled. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I get up there. Whereas up to this moment, it was shoulder to shoulder, walking down. A lot of room, so much room for activities. And I'm just like, huh. And it was almost kind of like, what now, right? It's like a bunch of guys talking shit to each other. We're going to fucking fight. We're going to fight. And finally, like, the parents are like, fuck it, fight. And everyone's like, oh. No. So it's like you up there and everyone's kind of like, what now? And it's like, rabble. And I was like, well, if anything, I'm back to the geek part of me. I'm like, there's the U.S. Capitol. I'm 20 feet from it. And I was like, neat. And so I'm looking up, and I'm like, this is cool. People are gathering around now. It's slowly filling up for the next 5 minutes. And you start to see a lot more armed guys, but not necessarily police, just kind of guys with like their Pepe and Keck shit. But it's, they're all in kit. And I was watching, and I was like, okay. Well, now I'm watching this, and I'm like, now it seems like the adrenaline's dying off a little bit, and I'm like, I saw what I want to saw. I saw what I wanted to see. Am I, now it's like kind of clearing up, and I'm like, my mind's clearing up, that is, and I'm like, is this a good place to be? And my mind's like, probably not. And I was like, okay, I just kind of want to see it. People start gathering around more and more. Some people start like linking arms and singing like national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever, or and then we see like there's a scaffolding that's on the ground, not scaffolding, like a window washing fucking rig, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yep.
It's on the ground, and someone goes up on it, and a couple people get on it, and I was kind of laughing, but then it starts rising, and I was like, I was like, how the fuck? And so I think I said on camera, I go, based inside man, because it's like clearly someone was like helping them use a scaffold, because you can't just walk up to a scaffolding on Bumblefuck building in Charlottesville, let alone on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, right? They're certifying the votes. So my first thought wasn't even, oh, this is a false flag. I thought there was just someone on the inside that, like, you know, sympathetic to it. So I was like, based inside man. Started saying some like China is asshole jokes, right? Because clearly I have to make it about me. I have to be the center of attention. But yeah, and I'm trying to be funny. I'm like panning up at the Capitol, and then I'm like, you can find this podcast on BitChute. You know, go follow me on Patreon, and you know, just trying to be funny. And right as the thing starts to rise, everyone turns and looks at it and starts cheering. And then right as it begins to rise, you can hear this like, and I turn to the left, and there's this dude right up at the window with a crowbar just breaking through the window. And I was like, and the person I was with was like, I cannot criticize. At first I got like amped up. I was like, holy shit, here it goes, right? And like, I can't deny that. It's on video. It's me going like, holy fucking shit. And, you know, like a real man, I'm like, do it. But I was like, I'm not going to be a part of that. But I was like, this is, in my mind, I'm like, this is going to be a great...
You do it, I'll watch.
Yeah, exactly. You do it. Like, I'm going to get so many likes. And I'm just like, tell me. The person next to me goes, I can't, the true voice of reason goes, I can't criticize BLM and Antifa all summer and fall 2020 for... You know, I can't say I'm for civil rights, but I'm against burning down courthouses and torching cop cars and breaking into Targets and small businesses. I can't say that and then also be okay with this. Truly a voice of reason, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, yeah, but the election fraud, and I'm being the idiot. My friend's like, no, stop. And I was like, you're right. Like, I can't sit here and try to be reasonable on a podcast and, you know, see both sides and agree to disagree. And then simultaneously shit on, you know, BLM for burning down cities, but be pro destroying the Capitol. And I was like, you're right. And we're watching it kind of go off more, and they're breaking more and more shit. You kind of hear more bangs in the distance. And for the first time, I like look to the left and right, and I can start to see like riot police starting to line up on both sides. And they're kind of like doing hand signals at each other. And I was like, well, this is about to go very south very quickly. And the person I'm with, I go, hey, like, kind of earlier, like, you know, when I was at the base, and I was like, we're here. Like, let's go up. Like, you know, nut up or shut up. We're here, right?
Yeah.
I come to that crossroads again where it's like, I'm here. Are you gonna siege the Capitol or not? Because if you're not, then I'm gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend goes, I don't want any part of this. And I go, let's get out of here. So we start walking away. We're looking at you can hear me say, hey, look, there are riot police. Like, I think they're coordinating something, honestly, as they should. And I was like, okay. So we start walking away, see up a couple more guys in like Keck flags, see a guy in a full ghillie suit, right? We see some green smoke, but it's obviously not tear gas. It's just like there's a guy in like a Pepe costume. And we're walking away. And we see another lady walking away. And my friend goes, I don't agree with them breaking shit. And the lady goes, she goes, that's a little, and apparently these people are clear-headed and I'm not. The lady goes, that's a little suspect that a window washing thing is down and operable. Why is that left there? And I was like, that's a good point.
Right. That's like the pallets of bricks that you would see
sure.
You know, prior to the riots.
Sure. It was like, okay, as we sort of moved away from like the hypo center, it was like, yeah, that is weird. We see a guy walking with his CNN camera, and he's not filming anything. And people are going, why aren't you filming it? Right? Because mind you, this is before it starts to get like violent. People are like, why aren't you filming it? There's no cops. There are no barriers. And they're like, why aren't you filming it? And the CNN guys just, and I have a camera of the scene just walking like, I don't want any part of this. He goes, finds some like security people, and they kind of stand around him. Again, as they should. This can't descend into chaos. So we start walking away. I thought when I first saw the guy with the crowbar, I thought that was an American flag he was breaking with. So you can hear me say on camera, they're breaking windows with flags. Looking back on the video, I now know it's a crowbar. we go up and we're walking around the Capitol, and I'm trying to find just like a way out. Like, let's go back to the hotel. And we see like the windows, and my friend's like, can I go like film the windows real quick? And I was like, sure. So we just like walk, I mean, it's right here. You just walk right up to it, you know, not climbing over anything, just goes up, films it. And you can see they had broken in, and now you see them like fighting with like riot police in there. And I was like, yeah, this is good.
I saw that video.
Yeah.
It was like they're here or something.
Yeah, they're inside. They're inside. And I was like, nah, it's a good time to go. So we walk away, and we're walking away, and as we're walking away, we see this giant flag, like Super Bowl football field size flag being drooped over the Capitol. And I was like, or over the scaffolding. And I'm like, where did that come from?
Right.
That's weird. For whatever.
How the fuck did you carry that around?
It's not something you can fold up. That's right. That's like a tarp. You'd need a flatbed for that. Maybe maybe it was there for the inauguration. I don't know. Maybe it was already, maybe they unveiled it. I don't know.
Good point.
So we walk away, and then we see this like line of like cars with these like signs of these big like almost like a pizza delivery guy or like an Uber Eats thing, you know, those things you can put on top of your car, like a magnet.
Yeah.
But it was much bigger, it was maybe like a foot tall. And they all are just saying like CCP is evil. And it's all these Chinese women, like legitimately from China, these women. And they're like, CCP evil, like sign our petition, take down CCP. And I was like, I can fuck with that. So it's just, you're right. Yeah, I was like, sure. I was like scribbled on it. And I was like, so we're walking away. And then you can just hear me talking to the person I'm with. I'm like, hey, send me those videos. I'm going to stitch them all together, put them together. And then we walk home. I stop recording. My phone's almost dead. Walking the whole way home. Still not seeing any police. Still not seeing anything. No sirens. We get about a mile away from the Capitol. We start to hear sirens more. We start to see like what looks like National Guard trucks start to block off roads. And I was like, well, this is probably good. And I was like, let's go back to the hotel and let's leave now. Let's not wait till tomorrow. Let's leave now.
Right.
So we go back. We go to the hotel lobby and start getting texts from people. And I was like, oh my God, are you alive? And I was like, yeah. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm in the lobby right now. Everyone's just kind of sitting in the lobby, just having drinks, right? And I was like, yeah, everything's fine. They're like, I thought it was war. And I'm like looking around and I'm like, it's people just kind of still sitting there with their flags. They're like, yes, I got to go back. I have work tomorrow. Just like, it goes back to very boring. So we got in the car and got a ride back. And it was just like, that was it. And it's not until we start looking at like the news that it was like, oh, it has now descended into chaos. So I didn't see any of that. I start seeing the news. I start seeing the tear gas. I start seeing the fighting, beating each other. I'm like, oh shit. And I was like,
common sense took over.
Oh, I was like, oh, so it's, I was like, that's not good. And then it was like, do you want to go get some Chick-fil-A? And I was like, yeah, let's go home. And I was like, let's go home.
So I saw some of it because it was obviously the news. Man, I have so many different thoughts about it. So, for one, I don't agree with it.
Turning the fan on.
Whoever that lady was who said to you that, if she stands by and partakes in what was going on, she can no longer,
criticize.
Denounce. Yeah, exactly. She's 100% right.
Brilliant.
I guess my question is, so you and I have talked about this before. I've said there's some things that Trump has done that I like, but I find him too polarizing to be the head of state.
Sure.
That's just my feelings. I don't think he's a good leader.
Sure.
That being said, I don't think you're a Q guy. We never really talked about it, but I didn't think you as one. And I could never get behind it anyway. Just for the simple fact, how can you place so much faith in one person?
It's too fantastic.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just, it's too fantastic.
Yeah, it's too fantastic and too new. I can fuck with Area 51 and Bob Lazar all day.
Yeah. I guess my question would be, as a President Trump supporter in general, not a Q guy,
sure.
not an asset. I've known you for a little while now. You're a pretty reasonable guy.
Sure.
What was your thought when he told the crowd walk down to the Capitol, I'm coming with you. And then he was nowhere to be seen. Not that I expected the president of the United States to actually walk with, hundreds of thousands of people or whatever it may be down to the fucking Capitol by himself. I do think that it shows the type of leader he is, in my opinion.
Sure.
When he says, yeah, I'm going to be there with you, and then he just kind of, fades back and lets the crowd go.
I'm going to head out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really think twice about that. Like, when he said it just kind of went in one ear and out the other. I was like, he's not going. There was not even a moment like, oh, where is he? You can't know. They clear highways for the president. They're not letting a bunch of weirdos.
In advance, they're doing reconnaissance and
weeks in advance. They go up. Yeah, they send C5 Galaxies full of whole motorcades.
Yeah.
They send bomb sniffing dogs, metal detectors. They scan it for radioactive material. No part of me. Maybe I'm truly stupid. Maybe the stupid people said he's going to be there with us, and then they said, "Where is he?" I guess even dumber people like me were like, "He's not going." I didn't even think for a second. I was like, "He's not going."
I think that's you having a clear head, but
possibly.
I wonder how those people feel.
Sure.
Who had so much faith in him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Almost kind of like borderline Messiah-ish.
Fanatic.
Fanatic. Yeah. How they feel about that. Or if they even give a shit.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but as somebody who's been led, you know what I mean?
Yeah, someone that's been in combat, been deployed.
Exactly, like, motherfucker, I want you there with me.
Yeah, right. Curtis LeMay never called a mission that he wasn't the front plane for.
Exactly. So, I don't know. There's just some irony.
Yeah, a lot of irony. Yeah. No, it's nothing good came of that. I mean, I got some cool video, but realistically, like a woman lost her life, like a Capitol Police member lost their life. Like, there's no. That's not good. It
makes me think that no matter what the cause is, and it's probably something we already knew, but you get a group of people together, and it's just it turns into a shit show, man. It gets very tribal, primitive, and it doesn't take much, man. It takes one or two people to get the people going.
Yeah. If anything, I would say that was one of the most wildly interesting experiences of my life to see. It turns into a pile of kindling covered in gas. It takes nothing to just whoop, it just goes. And that was insane to see firsthand.
Keep hearing Antifa, right? I feel like that's the excuse that both sides have used, over the last year. I know Antifa is an organization that exists. I hate to even call it an organization because I don't think it's exactly organized, from what I can tell. But maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think agent provocateurs are a thing. They know that they're a thing.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And so I wonder if it's something more along those lines than using Antifa. You know what I mean? But again, to what end, though? Right? So if you want to play both sides, what's the end game?
The end game
pulling the strings.
Yeah. So the end game would be, so let's say it's an Antifa agent provocateur. I don't think they're that organized. Let's say it's a pro-Trump agent provocateur, and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to get this ball rolling," right?
Yeah.
To what end? Yeah, that's what you always have to look back to be like, who's benefiting from this? And the only thing that I think makes sense is now the government has an excuse to just roll out that much more security.
Yeah, well, kind of like a Patriot Act 2.0.
Patriot Act, TSA, right? Mass surveillance, X-Key score, Echelon, Stellar Wind. Now we have 30,000 troops in D.C. with a wall erected around it.
You know who might be a good question to ask this to is your buddy Dale Comstock.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the Delta guy or is he Green Beret?
He was in Delta, yeah.
Weren't they used back in the day as agent provocateurs as well?
I've never asked him about that, but I've wanted to. About his Alex Jones saying, yeah, World Trade Organization.
Yeah, I'm sure he can't and probably won't talk about it, but...
No, he won't. He'll definitely not. That's why I don't ask him. It's because he's not going to talk about it.
Fair enough.
Trust me, dude, when Charlie Duke came on, every part of me was like, did you actually go to the moon? Are there alien bases up there? But it's like, here's this man that's giving me his time for like awesome content that's going to get me views and subscribers. So when I have Dale on, part of me is just sort of like, know your position, stay in your lane, be thankful for this individual coming on, right? It's like when Rogan has Bernie Sanders on, he's not like, are you really a communist? No, it's like, you have this guy that's giving you content.
No, you want to be respectful. So, maybe that's a question for him over a beer or something that's not being recorded.
Yeah. Out in the woods, maybe. Yeah. No phones around. Dale, what'd you really do?
Right. So, I don't want to go too much into politics just because I haven't really been following. I needed to take a break, man. I was getting run down. I think, the last time you and I talked, I remember you sent me a text afterwards saying, like, hey, man, you all right? You seem a little off. Yeah. And, man, I think I was just getting way too much into following, like, the political stuff, stopped running, all that, started eating like shit. I still kind of am, so I need to get that stuff here. I can feel it. So, I asked all of that, or I'd say I didn't really want to talk politics, but then again, I'm going to ask this. What are the good things that you think that Biden will achieve? Or has the potential to achieve?
Renewable energy, specifically nuclear energy. And there are a lot of things that I adamantly disagree with, right? Moving Supreme Court from 9 to 26 people, reversing Trump's hard immigration policies, revoking the travel ban from the Muslim countries. No, the travel ban is actually from the list of countries from the travel ban. Fun fact, it's not Trump's, it's from Obama's State Department. Yeah. Whatever. But you know what? That just completely sidestepped your question. I just said all the things I don't like. Yeah, so I'll go back to it. So let's look at the positive. Let's get the country opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Renewable energy. I know that's one of his things is more money into nuclear energy, and I do think that is the future. I think it's the only way we can sustain. We're at 7.7 billion people right now. Yeah. We're going to be at 10 billion by 2050. We need nuclear energy. We need energy independence. So it's not even when people argue, well, there's no such thing as climate change, or there is climate change, or it's man-made, or it's natural. Regardless, what is real is we're dependent on a pro-terrorist nation, Saudi Arabia. We need to be energy independent from them. That's the silver lining I'm trying to find, is maybe we can, because we've had nuclear reactors since the 50s. Why is it not, we could be running the world on just, or fusion, right? ITER, ITER, the 50 or 100 nations that are coming together, and I think it's in France. It's kind of like CERN. It's this underground facility called ITER, ITER, and we're trying to get sustainable fusion, the first ever thing where we get more energy out than we put in. China's building their own, and then all the other nations are putting one together. Maybe that's great. Maybe we can get like a space race 2.0 with Space Force, and with maybe we can get a nuclear energy race going. Try to find the silver linings. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm still trying to think. My biggest thing was I just hope that him getting elected things over without a couple of players. Yes, you're gonna have people who are pissed off. That's fine. I get it. That happens every time. My side laws, motherfucker.
Sure.
But I thought things would calm down, and now I'm not feeling too good about that anymore. I think it's just going to get worse, because I guess my biggest thing is, right, I'm a believer that most elections has fuckery going on.
100%.
One way or the other.
From the dawn of man.
Exactly, right? So, I'm not smart enough. I don't know the numbers. I couldn't tell you the extent, but I'm sure there's fuckery going on. So I wholeheartedly believe that there was some shit going on with this year's elections. But haven't seen evidence, and I haven't
hard evidence.
Hard evidence, yeah. And I haven't really dug into it, right? Too much on purpose. I guess that's what I was going to ask you.
Sure.
What's your, not smoking gun, but your main
the fingerprint, right?
Yeah.
The semen at the crime scene, right?
Yeah.
It's right. So, for me, it's what did I see with my eyes and ears? I watched him pull ahead on election night. I watched him leading in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia. I saw that happen. I watched, and I always say this, I watched all my conservative friends celebrate. More importantly, I watched all of my liberal friends melt down and start to get angry. So it's not just I think he won. I watched them think he won. Right? I watched his when he came out and did his little press conference thing at like 2 a.m. This is the latest press conference I'd ever done. That was the first night I'd ever listened to Steven Crowder. I had never listened to him before, and he's going like, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of funny, right? And they're kind of wrapping it up, and they're like, well, like, I think it's over. Like, not as much as a blowout as I thought it'd be, but like, seems Trump clinched it. Like, he's leading in these states. Once they're finished counting, he's gonna be whatever. And I was like, fuck. I was like, the motherfucker did it. And towards the end of Crowder's live stream, he'd been going for like 7 hours. He goes, and they're stopping counting in Georgia because like a water main broke. And I was like, whatever. Trump's leading by however many hundreds of thousands of votes, and it's like right 95% counted. And he's like, well, whatever. And they're like, so everyone, they're like, tomorrow we're probably gonna take tomorrow off. We've been up all night, and it's like, actually, hey, they just stopped counting in Michigan as well, and Wisconsin. And they're like, this is. My first thought at the time was like, fuck, there's a terrorist attack. And I'm watching it, and they all stopped counting. All these states, these swing states, where Trump's leading at like 95% votes are in, and he's up by this much. And I was like, and so he starts saying, so these states, these counters are saying that it's, COVID restrictions, COVID. I think that's bullshit, but at the same time, hey, it's 2020. It is COVID. Do you expect anything else? Not really.
Right.
So I screenshot it. On my phone, screenshot it. I'm like, he's gonna take it. All these things are leading red. He's gonna take it. Go to bed, wake up, and they all start reversing, and they start finding ballots. Well, they tell everyone to go home. We're gonna start counting tomorrow. That's around 2 a.m. But they don't wait for everyone to come back. They resume at 4 a.m. and they start going, and they're all counting. And it's all across all 5 states. They all start eating away. So do I know what happened? No. Can I claim that I have evidence? Do I have satellite feeds? Am I in the NSA? Do I know statistics? No, I failed calculus 3 times. I'm looking out with my eyes and ears. I'm like, what does your gut tell you? Don't listen to what the left or the right is saying. What does your gut tell you? My gut tells me there's some fuckery going on. Trump's press conference at 2 a.m., he comes out and says, and you have to have all votes in by like X time, right? Those are election laws. Any COVID laws they make, those don't stand in court. Those have to go through legislatures, but they didn't do that. So he goes, so it's finished counting. He goes, we won. And he goes, certainly don't want them to start finding ballots at 4 a.m. Well, that's exactly what happened. And we start seeing it eat away. We see that exact line where, right, it's Trump, Biden going up, pause, Biden, vertical line.
Yeah.
Vertical, not gradual, vertical line. And I was like, that's clearly fraud. Watching it, and I was like, so everyone's like, oh, Biden. I was like, if I say that Trump lost, I'm lying. I'm not being honest, because that's not what I saw with my eyes, right? It's I watched it, and I watched him win. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, it looks like we're in for a Bush v. Gore thing. And I was like, here we go. I was like, of course it's 2020. I was like, buckle the fuck up.
Yeah.
When the Supreme Court wouldn't take his case, I was like, what the fuck? Why would you not hold it? Why would you not hold the case? And that started to get hairy. that started to get, why are they doing it? What got me the most was General McInerney coming out, retired 3-star general, coming out and saying that they watched live, the intelligence agencies watched live on election night, they watched hacking of voting systems go in, right? Because everything else I'm saying, it's most likely and could be my own cognitive dissonance. Oh, they told Republicans to use Sharpies. And I went on a whole rant about this the other day. At a certain point, I have to look at it and I'm like, is this no different than my liberal friend saying, "Oh, Trump's a Russian agent"? It's like, Tommy, reel it in. I know you like Trump, but it's like, all these things, am I grasping at it? Am I seeing what I want to see? Oh, there was ballots that weren't mailed in. They weren't folded. They're using Sharpie instead of pen. All these dead people. And I'm like, am I, as much as I want to see this, I've specifically never claimed on my podcast what is the basis for the fraud, because I don't know, and anything I claim is me reaching. What I do know is just what I watched, okay? So General McInerney coming out saying that there's a program called Hammer and Scorecard, and also having Brigadier General Robert Spalding on this past August, reading his book Stealth War and seeing how the CCP overthrows people. They don't use weapons. They infiltrate. They start passing legislature conducive to China's growth while taking down the native country. Belt and Road Initiative, giving ports to poor nations, and then when they can't pay their bills, hey, then we're just going to seize the port and we're going to have our Navy here. What are you going to do? It's China. Watching this, I know how they operate. China can't take the U.S. military toe for toe. I said that December 2019. I said that's why I think fentanyl is a thing. I think they're flooding our borders. Asymmetric warfare. We know they do with cyber warfare, right? Dawn of the Code War by Garrett Graff. They talk all about that. Then we see COVID. Personally, I think that's what it is. Whether or not it's real, it is real. Whether or not it's lab made, to me, it doesn't matter, because what's happening, the rest of the world's economy is paused while China keeps chugging along. That's no different than an 800-meter race in the Olympics, and then everyone stops to tie their shoe, but one guy keeps running. These are all things I've been saying months, and in some cases up to, not quite a year, 11 months before the election. So me, just from my uneducated standpoint, I can see how they battle. China can't take America toe-to-toe with tanks and bombs. What would be a much easier way to go? Win over a couple corrupt politicians, maybe buy off a couple judges, take over the commander-in-chief. There's a much easier way to defeat the U.S. military, right? Go in the back.
Psyops.
Exactly, right? Am I going to try to break into your house, Josh? Or am I going to maybe steal your wife's purse when she's not looking at Walmart and take her keys? There's a much easier way to get in charge. So General McInerney coming out and saying they watched Hammer and Scorecard, which is something to get into Dominion machines and flip votes. The sworn affidavit of the head lawyer of Italy coming out and saying that elements of their government were involved using the Leonardo satellites. Watching all of this and hearing McInerney say, we watched it happen, and I told them, why aren't we working? And he can't name who he was with, but he was like, they said, let's watch it go through, because why just stop a fraudulent thing? We can always stop it. Why not get the people involved, right? It's not shoplifting until you leave the store. Okay, I'm not a 3-star general. Okay. So it makes me nervous, but I'm like, okay, why just shut down a Chinese election when they can just come back and try it better in 4 years? Why not rat out the individuals that were complicit? Okay, but again, am I seeing what I want to see? I have to take that into account. Hearing McInerney say that leading up to January 5th, the election in Georgia, right, the special runoff, saying him watching it, seeing the 2 Republican candidates leading, and for the record, I'm not Republican. I like Trump. I fucking hate Republicans. Point being, McInerney watching and saying, and then I got a call from my NSA contact, and he goes, and see how they're both ahead? And he goes, right now, he goes, live, we're expecting, it's because the NSA, they're light years ahead. Or he goes, we're watching it come through. China's brilliant. They did it through the Leonardo satellite with Italy, and they did it through Pakistan's ISI, which also, ISI headquarters is about 2 miles from where bin Laden was caught in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Little hairy there, right? McInerney goes, and they tell me to start, they say, watch. And he goes, same thing happens. 4 a.m., vertical lines. They got bold. They're getting cocky. They're getting sloppy, right? They're watching it go. And he goes, so we caught him twice. Now we have it twice. And he goes, again, it's not shoplifting until you leave the store. How do you get everyone involved? Certify the votes. My criticism of that is, well, then why wouldn't you have swooped in and arrested everyone involved the day they certified the votes? So, long answer to your question, I know what I saw. And as someone that has voted on the left twice and the right twice, it's not like I'm a lifelong Republican. I voted for Obama and I voted for Bernie in the primaries. I am still not comfortable with what I saw. It just doesn't pass the sniff test. It's, if Trump lost, then he lost. Sure, I can rage on here and talk about how socialism's finally in America, like every other conservative in the history of the country. If the conservative wins, oh my God, fascism's here, just like every other liberal in the history of the country. I get that. My gut feeling still says something fishy happened. However, just as my very intelligent lawyer, accountant, and doctor friends on the left for 4 years screamed Trump was a Russian agent, and then even after every report came out and nothing ever came of it, and they said, well, he's still a Russian agent, and I said, well, now you're just ignoring every report and every investigation and just still claiming. I was like, that's closed-minded. You have your result. You're not trying to be unbiased. I have to look at this despite what I saw. Despite what I saw on election night, if there's not a hammer of hardcore evidence dropped in the next 21 hours and 2 minutes, then my only logical conclusion can be it's not that they got away with it. It's if Trump has evidence of voter fraud and he has all 18 intelligence agencies at his fingertips, if he has evidence, he is going to release it. If he does not release evidence, it's because it does not exist. Not because it evaded them. They're the fucking NSA. They can fucking read your Game Boy memory card, right? So I'm at this personal battle with my own cognitive dissonance where I'm saying I watched him win. The other half of me saying, do you think Trump is a guy that backs down? No. If he doesn't release evidence, why is that? It's because it doesn't exist. It's not because I think the Chi-Coms pulled a fast one on him. Or worse, he's complicit, and this is just them playing everyone at each other, in which case we're all fucked. So,
well, yeah, I was just going to say, man. So, like, let's say there was some fraud going on, right?
Sure.
And the CCP was able to get their hands on
Dominion
information. Yeah, whatever. How do you get people who are so far ideologically different and really try to talk to each other and want to yell at each other, right?
Say it again.
No side wants to talk to each other.
Yeah.
They want to yell at each other.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm generalizing, but it's generally the way it is. How do you say, hey, listen, this actually happened at the election? How do you sit down with these people? I guess I don't know either way. Like I wasn't there that night. I wasn't watching it live. I didn't see what you saw. I went to bed. I was like, flip a coin. We'll figure it out. Woke up to shit show. So, I guess my wonder is, how can we better communicate? Right. So we know that there's issues. The media is a bag of shit as well. They constantly lie. Actually, 2020 has probably been the best year for them as far as ratings go. We know that people on the left say that people on the right or anybody who has any sort of alternative thinking or who likes to question is nothing more than a conspiracy theorist. And people on the left are socialists, CCP lovers. You know what I mean? So, moving forward, I guess this isn't going to just stop now, right? Elections getting rigged or anything like that, if that's what happened. It's only going to continue to happen. So how do we stop it, I guess?
So, yeah, it's a very good point. So to answer your first thing, how do we increase communication between the left and the right? I think we have
Other than
podcasts, I think we have to be the change we want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to do is am I wrong? Can I own my own cognitive dissonance? If I can't, how can I expect anyone to? If I can't bring myself to walk an extra 3 steps to recycle a water bottle, then throw it away, how can I expect anyone to recycle, right? Curtis LeMay, how can I throw my men into battle unless I lead them, right? So to answer that question really quick, I think we have to be the change we want. I think we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. And that's, I don't see any way past that. Number 2, and that is why I'm so passionate about kind of talking about this, to answer election fraud. And that's why I went up. I'm not a politically active person. I'll vote, but like aside from that, like fuck off. Like I don't, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I'm so passionate about that is you hit the nail on the head. Let's say it happened. How do you keep it from happening in the future? You do not. It's over. If one person won and the other side managed to pull off a coup, if you manage to pull off a coup while not in power, you'll be able to stay in power forever once you are behind the reins of government, right? If I can take down Dale Comstock when he has a gun and I don't have a gun, through whatever fucking shit show that would be, if I can somehow move like a ninja and take down a Delta Force assassin without a gun while he has a gun, not in power versus the president in power, once I have the gun and he doesn't have the gun, well, if I can beat him at my lowest and at his highest, then once I'm at the highest and he's at the lowest, it's done. It's game over. I am undefeated for the rest of time. That, to me, is why I'm so concerned, because it's not just, your guy... Listen, I voted for Romney in 2012 because I don't want to see Obamacare go through because I want to be a doctor. He lost. I was really pissed off for like 2 days. Made a fool of myself on Facebook. I was like, fuck this communist. And then it was like, well, there's 350 million people in this country, and I cast my vote, others cast theirs. There was more than mine. Deal with it. To me, this isn't that. If there was fraud when you're not in power and you beat someone in power, then once you were behind the reins of government, 18 intelligence agencies, and the most powerful military in the world, you're never going to lose. There will never be a real election again. There will be no contesting it. There will be no nothing. It'll be he wants to go from 9 to 26 Supreme Court justices, wants to open borders. He also wants to abolish, they put forth a bill the other day to abolish the Electoral College. So now you just need popular vote, but what better way to do that than, what's the politically incorrect term for these caravans? Political cattle. Get everyone in here, hey, we'll give you food stamps, vote left. But that doesn't even matter, because that still implies you're actually tallying votes. If you can pull off a rigged election, there's never a real election. There's never not a real election. There's never a real space election. Again, there is no fixing it. And that is why I am so concerned. There is no addressing it. It's over. We had a great 245-year run. It's over. And that's the facts.
I think you're probably right.
That's why
I was trying to be glass half full about it.
So have I been. That's when you asked earlier, you're like, what do you see positive about Biden? Like, I mean, shit, like if I'm really, gunpoint, I guess I can name a thing or two, but that's what it is, dude. Like, I can't idly stand by and watch, because what can I say? You know what? Let's hit him in 2024. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. The whole thing's fucked. So that is why, and again, it's not me saying that. It's when a 3-star general comes out and says that. It's when the head lawyer of Italy comes out on a sworn affidavit and says we tampered in the election. It's when the Supreme Court won't hold it. It's when I watched with my eyes what happened. It's when I had on Brigadier General Robert Spalding, read his book, and it doesn't take a genius to know what China's game plan is and their modus operandi. That's so everything is concluded into that's what I now. So what happens if he's inaugurated tomorrow? What happens? I think the whole thing's fucked and it's over. So now it comes to what? Do I take a black pill? Do I just unplug and just have on guests on the podcast and make fart jokes? There's nowhere else to run. This is the right General Flynn. There's no place to run if America falls. We are the last place of freedom.
Well, I guess you have a platform now. You didn't have that last election, right? So,
yes, that's true. And luckily, there's no such thing as censorship. Oh wait, they kicked off a sitting. They kicked off a sitting president. They removed Parler from Apple and Amazon Web Services, and Biden has appointed top officials and executives from big tech, from Twitter, from Facebook, to his administration. So a true marriage of the corporate to the state. At least you have you don't have a platform. This will be gone March latest.
Yeah, what a dangerous precedent set, man. That's pretty wild, especially the Parler thing, right?
That's
so. And maybe you can come up with a counter to this.
Sure.
And if you can, please tell me. But, so you hear people say, well, they talk about, okay, so if a gay couple wants to go to a bakery and get their cake or whatever, the owner doesn't want to do it. Okay, that's fine. They can go to another shop, right? But Amazon owns X percentage of the servers out there, and Google and shit like that too. Like, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, so Amazon Web Services, Google Play, Apple Store, kicking Parler off.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't even get on there on the fucking laptop because it's I don't know. It's
pretty
wild, man.
You're bringing. So what do? Well, let's vote in a guy that breaks up monopolies. How do you vote? Yeah. Well, it's rigged. You have to understand what we're looking at. We're looking at a vertical wall of totalitarianism, and they just took your climbing rope.
Yeah. So I guess I'm in conflict even with myself because on one hand, I do feel like, hey, if that cake owner has whatever beliefs and they don't want to serve somebody, then that's their right. No problems. Private company, I'm all for that. I might think you're an asshole, but it's still your right.
Yeah.
But on the other hand too, is I'm not a fan of censorship under probably just about any circumstance that I can really think of, yet they are private companies, and
that's what I said all of 2020. I'd shit on big tech for censorship, but I'd always say, I think they're a private company. I think you can do what you want. I think Amazon Web Services, I think they're clear to kick off Parler. As much as I hate it, I think they're clear to kick off Parler. I think Apple's. Everything on this podcast has been purchased from Amazon. I've shut down my account. I will never purchase a thing again because if they're a private company, well then I can vote with my dollar. I will not buy another Apple product. I love my MacBook. I don't support that.
Maybe that's the key.
Yeah. So let's go with that. If they can do that, do you remember in 2017? The whole net neutrality thing. If you got on any subreddit, astroturfed and sticky to the top of every subreddit was net neutrality. Okay. If I can recall, private companies shouldn't be able to throttle your access to information based on their own political biases. But they're private companies. No, this is censorship. America stands for more than that. I disagreed with it then. I said I think they're private companies. Now here we are. We have the same left now saying they're private companies. No one gave a shit when it was net neutrality. When it was net neutrality, it was stand up to the fascists.
Yeah.
When it's for your guy, when it helps your side, you're all for it. So, but then what's the outcome of this? Elon Musk said that using Starlink, his satellite-based internet, maybe he won't let on social media platforms if they censor. Well, now here I am cheering for Elon Musk because I'm like, yeah, stick it to them. But then isn't that just another form of censorship? So no one's winning. We're just using censorship to fight each other. How about we all just agree there's no censorship? If you don't like something, don't follow them. Don't watch it. Change the fucking channel. The same argument that me and my liberal friends would use in high school. If you don't, we'd say it, because we went to a private Catholic high school, when people would be like, gay marriage is evil. It'd be like, if you don't want a gay marriage, just don't get one. Just go date girls. Right? And we would laugh at them and be like, you don't have to get one. If you don't like pot, you don't have to smoke it. It's fine. But don't make it illegal.
Okay, buddy. Yeah.
But now it's here. And it's, if you don't like someone, don't follow them. If you think Trump is a Nazi, don't follow him on Twitter. Don't do it. Don't buy stock or products of companies that you think are racist. You think Joe Rogan's white supremacist? Don't watch him. But this whole thing, we're not going to get anywhere because, Elon's going to stick it to him with his own censorship. But then what if the manufacturer of the materials that Elon used to build his satellites, some company that mines the ore and melts it and smelts it and fabricates it into the metal pieces that are then launched into space, what if they come out and say, well, I don't support Elon, so I'm going to not let him buy my ore? It's a race to the bottom. But what is the end result? It's censorship. It's censorship everywhere. That's not good.
Yeah, I mean, you know this as well as I do, too, is once you start, you're not going to stop, and there's no going back.
There's none.
You know what I mean?
You can vote it in. You have to fight your way out. I just nothing good comes from it.
Elon, Mars 2026, do you think it's going to happen?
At this point, I think we got it. I don't think... Because I think we got to write this one off. Hey, Earth, you had a good run, but... you know, I'll tell you the hope. I don't think it's good. The hope I do have. I would be thrilled if it came out that there was zero fraud, that there actually was pallets of ballots for Biden. I would be thrilled. Would I be happy about that presidency? No. But what did we say on our last podcast? I said, you know what? Whoever wins, at least it means the election process works. And you were like, that sounds good. And I was like, thanks. And that's what I felt, was whoever wins, then at least the electoral process worked. Everyone got out there and said, nah, I don't want Trump in there anymore. Sure, I'd be upset, but hey, democracy, baby. It's bigger than one president. It's bigger than my lifetime.
Yeah.
That is why I'm so passionate. If Trump just lost, I'd be like, hey, I'm from New England. I like the Patriots, and it's a kick in the nuts to watch Brady lose the Super Bowl. But hey, it's what it is. If that's gone, it doesn't. I can't even hold the argument that private companies should be allowed to censor. Well, then I can go and vote for a president that says they're going to break up monopolies like Teddy Roosevelt. Well, no, you can't. There is no voting. It does not matter. I'm not going to vote for the guy that says to take our guns. It doesn't matter anymore. You are no longer part. They now rule you. You do not vote. That's what it is. We're on the cusp of a black hole. Once you get closer to the black hole, no amount of energy can be used to escape its orbit. It pulls you in. It sucks in light. Nothing can leave. Right? Like, we're sliding down a well and we're covering the walls with KY jelly. Once you're down, you can't come back up. And so right now we're at the edge of the well and everyone's saying, Tommy, why are you fucking just let this thing go, man? Just climb out of the well and next time you can decide not to go in the well. I'm like, there's KY jelly and they just took our climbing shoes. Like, we're not coming out, right?
Yeah.
So I hope I'm wrong. I legitimately hope I'm wrong. I hope I look back at this and be like, man, that dipshit legitimately thought there was voter fraud. There wasn't. Biden went in, he did 4 years, did 8 years, whatever, and then Bob Smith came in and he was all pro-America and it goes back and forth, and then one day when I'm 80 I go, oh, it really is just, that's the political spectrum. I hope I'm wrong.
180 days for the military or intelligence agencies to disclose what they know about unidentified aerial phenomena. What do you think? That puts that to lie. What do you think?
Would you say it's a lie?
No, I said, what do you think?
Don't play with my heart like that, Josh.
So I'm going to send you something that I found. This is actually crazy. I doubt there's any truth to this. I just thought it was a cool coincidence. I'll send it to you later, but essentially it was a subreddit. And this guy, it was like 6 years ago. It was like under an Ask Reddit or something, and it was asking about abductions or alien abductions. Anybody who's ever go on.
Can you come closer to your microphone?
I think I need a better one. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. he was saying, so he had multiple experiences over multiple years, and this was back in like 2013, 2014. He said that in July of 2021, the U.S. government is going to disclose information on UFOs and release that aliens are among us or exist or whatever. So I just thought that was interesting that he pegged July of 2021, and then in January is when they had 180 days to disclose what they know, which puts us at July. Like I said, it's batshit crazy. There's nothing to it, but I just thought it was interesting. Then I started going down a rabbit hole and reading this guy's post from years and years ago. Like, he's not active anymore, but just a lot of crazy shit happened to this guy supposedly, or at least he thinks that it did. So,
who was the individual?
Some random guy on Reddit.
What is weird is who is it? The former head of the Canadian Defense Ministry. Is it Paul Hillier?
I know what you're talking about.
He
I wanted to say Nick Pope, but not him.
Not Nick Pope.
Yeah.
Nick Pope's the man, though.
Yeah.
Hillier.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Hillier came out. I think he might be. I don't think he's passed away. I think he's super old. But he came out and did an AMA on like Reddit in 2017, and they're like, "What's like the craziest thing from like the defense?" And he was like, "Well, the craziest thing is that Earth is in contact with several alien civilizations. They've been here before. We don't know how to break it to the people. There is a dark faction of world governments that want to keep the power for themselves. But if we can bring it out into civilian use, we could be entering into a new golden age of humanity." And everyone was like,
which would coincide with what that former deputy of whatever from Israel.
So he said that in 2017. Everyone's like, what is this guy smoking? But it was the equivalent of their General Mattis, or now it would be their Chris Miller. Their SecDef.
Yeah, it was like the defense minister.
It was their It was their SecDef, right?
Yeah.
Admiral Lord Hill Norton, who was the 5-star admiral in Britain's, I think their defense ministry, said before he died that he thinks that elements of the U.S. military and other military factions are not allowing declassification of alien technology, not because it's too philosophically heavy, but because they want to keep the power to themselves, because if limitless energy comes out, then that removes their ability to use the petrodollar to have a vice grip on the world's balls. That's a weird one. But then, this past summer, that Israeli former, space agency head, their head of NASA, basically, came out and said...
And I'm not saying, somebody in the upper echelons of an agency can't be batshit crazy. I'm not saying that.
Sure, they can be, but it's weird.
It's definitely possible.
But it's weird when you get one from Canada, from Britain, and from Israel. 3 separate ones, all coming out and kind of saying the same thing, years apart.
Yeah. So I said all that just to think that nothing's going to apply. The thing is, they come out and say, "Yep, we've had a few experiences.
Fuck that. Keep the faith.
Here's a little bit, just a little bit to get you rocked off, and then that's gonna be the end of it. I think.
Just keep the faith. If 2 years ago you had said, or 5 years ago, if you had said, the U.S. government will acknowledge UFOs and even release FLIR, forward-looking infrared video of UFOs off the USS Nimitz, if Commander Fravor would go on Rogan and talk about chasing a Tic Tac with zero propulsion or heat dissipation or thermal imagery, and it can go like 0 to Mach 100 and sea level to 80,000 feet in under a second, I would have said, no, it's never going to happen. We're going to get a blurry video here and there. But here we are. We have some. I mean, just look at what we have now. This is like, dude, this is the juiciest shit since Lazar coming out in '89. So yeah. I'm optimistic about, maybe it could happen.
Maybe.
I think some will come out.
Yeah, I mean, they can't just rely on rolling around if they've got nothing. There's no way.
It'll be.
They have to release something.
It'll be.
And I don't even know. Did they release those? Did the government actually release those videos, or were they leaked out and then the government just acknowledged that yes, they were?
They acknowledged them, and then they posted their own versions of them.
Okay.
That were just like higher resolution. They were like, yeah, we don't know what that is. which is insane.
Right. Yeah.
That's insane. And we've kind of got used to it. We've taken it for advantage. We're like, yeah, but they're not going to release anything. They'll probably drip a little more and then wait a year or two and drip a little more. But I do think it's in motion.
Yep. Well, and they just did that big CIA document dump too. John Greenwald Jr. over at Black Vault. He
did one.
He's got that up. Yeah.
Oh shit! Send me a link.
Yeah, I will. Well, I'm talking to him soon.
You getting it, motherfucker? I've emailed him. He never got back to me.
I'll off air. I'll tell you how to do it.
Don't even tell me. Just put in a good word for me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do it. I got a lot.
We need a battle our UFO guests, like BattleBot or like Pokemon. We throw our guy down. I'll throw down Nick.
You got Nick Pope, man.
I was gonna say I'll throw down Nick Pope and you throw down Greenwald, and like battle.
Yeah. So I got Greenwald, and then I'm not familiar with Ryan Sprague from he's somewhere in this guy's podcast. He's kind of like Richard Dolan was his mentor.
Okay.
Good dude. Isn't into the fanatical shit. Just tries to keep a clear head about things and well researched. Yeah, he just interviewed Luis Elizondo and stuff, so he's kind of a big name too. So
head of the ATIP program, yeah.
So, which that guy, I don't know.
Vibes you get from Elizondo?
Yeah, the vibes I get from him, I don't know. He's hiding something. Obviously, he's intelligence. He's hiding a lot, but I feel like he's not telling me the complete story. And there's just my BS meter's going off a little bit with him.
Yeah. I don't.
He's a little too perfect.
Little too polished.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I can trust like a Nick Pope.
Well, yeah, because he's been around for.
And he's also just he's like, I don't know what it is. He's like, I'm. Right? Doesn't try to feed you anything.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe I just get a little I find people who are very like gung ho, like kind of questionable. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But,
what's your angle? Who's paying you? What are you getting at?
Yeah. Well, I saw that he was in the series Unidentified or whatever, and he's just he's got his physical bag and stuff, and like I don't know, he's
little hairy. Little hair. I don't know about It's all.
Trust no one.
What?
Trust no one.
I don't even trust myself. I wake up and I'm
myself all the
time. I wake up and I'm like, I don't even know who you are, motherfucker. That's called schizophrenia.
Maybe.
Possibly.
You should question yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think self-reflection is a good thing.
Absolutely. I love going back and looking at early episodes of the podcast, and I just cringe.
Well, yeah. But you know what, though? I used to be... When I used to think about this stuff, and people used to change their mind, it would piss me off. I'm like, what are you doing? You can't just sit here and change your mind, blah, blah. And then as I've gotten older, I've realized, no, your ideas are allowed to evolve. You don't have to be married to anything you say. Mm-hmm. You should own it. Whatever you said, own it. And at the time, that's how I felt or whatever. But I've just now gotten to the point recently, and probably right around when I hit 30, when I realized, like, it's okay. Like,
it's okay to evolve.
I can change my mind and not feel like a hypocrite and, beat myself up about it.
Yeah. So, if anything, I take people that change their mind a little more seriously. Because I'm like, your brain's malleable. You can think.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. Yeah, information goes in and it's absorbed and you analyze and
new data. Yeah. You change the pieces around. You go, okay, this is now my view of the world. Yeah, it's people that are. Yeah, you're right. Because when I was younger, I'd be like, these politicians are flip flopping, and then I'm like, I think I heard Rogan say it when I was in like college, and he was like, flip-flopping just means that you're growing and you're changing your... He's like, now if you flip-flop from day to day, he's like, now you're just a piece of shit politician. But like, you get older and you're like, oh, okay, agree to disagree. Or, that's not for me, but hey, more power to you. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Well, I say all that also to say that there's a caveat to where I don't like it when politicians change their minds. I still don't like it because I do feel like it's flipped.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some ulterior motive to it. You know,
Yeah, with them.
But that's what's the pessimist in me.
Yeah,
so.
With them, I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? What are you?
Right.
Yeah, why are you doing that shit? It's you know what? I truly hope that in 4 years or in 8 years, I'm sitting here and arguing for the Democrat president, because that will mean I have grown.
Yeah, for sure.
And I hope in 16 years I'm arguing for the conservative. Like, I have to grow. If I'm not growing, what are we doing? What am I doing?
Well, yeah, and I know a couple people like that too. You know, I don't associate them with them because I prefer to be around. But you know, those people who never grew up, or you know, kind of same mentality all throughout high school and afterwards, and just
yeah.
I met a couple of those people, and it's odd.
Yeah, my spidey sense goes off. I think it was Andy Stumpf said it, the guy in SEAL Team 6, when he was on Rogan. He's like, whenever everyone I'm around, whenever I'm in a group and everyone believes the same thing, it's like my spidey sense goes off.
Well, I find that boring. You know,
boring.
I like having conversations with people. I like when somebody challenges me and makes me think. And you know, like there's a couple of things after we get done with this, I'm probably going to think about a couple of things that we talked about.
Yeah,
you know,
that's why I love having on my buddy Ernie. Ernie, who was born in Mexico, first-generation immigrant, worked in the Democratic Party in Georgia, was an intern in the Obama administration. He comes on here and talks Biden. He's like, and this is why Trump's an idiot. But doesn't sit here and say, Tommy, you conservatard. He says all these things. And I'm like, man, like, I hate it because it's like this uncomfortable feeling. But I'm like, what that feeling is I'm taking in new information and I have to reevaluate the playing field. I have to move the chess pieces around. And that's, again, if we're not growing, what the fuck are we doing? Like, if I really wanted to go fucking all one side, I'd move to China and I would just go pro CCP and I'd be like, brainwash me, let's roll. I just want to be around people that believe me, and those who I don't believe, let's put them in concentration camps. We'll kill them all. Let's go subvert elections. Like, if that's where I, got off and just falling in line, lockstep, that's what I'd do. It's just, that's on why on Reddit. I was never on any our conservative or our Republican, so I was never part of any of those things because those are all people I agree with. And so by being around them, I'm only hearing things that I agree with. I'm only having my beliefs affirmed. That's why I never watch any conservative news. Fox, OANN, whatever the fuck it is. Never watch any of it. I've listened to Steven Crowder once. It was on election night. I don't listen to pro my belief podcasts because I'm getting nothing out of it. Right? It's if I send my podcast to friends and family members, they're always going to get back to me with, great episode, interesting, you're really coming along. It's the people that come on here and they're like, man, you got to stick up your ass, dude. You don't like having anything challenged. That's the stuff that fucking, I'm like, ooh, what? I'm like, there's a knot in my stomach. What is that? Is there some fact in there? Is it just an insult? If it's just an insult, let it go. If it's real, ooh, got to take that in. Got to take that in. You got to take in that new piece of information.
Humble pie, it's a tough one to swallow sometimes.
Humble pie is about as easy to chew as concrete, but it's got valuable vitamins in it. But so, let me know when I gotta let you go. It's 3:30.
Very soon, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do like five more minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
that'll work for me. So,
yeah.
So let me ask you about the podcast, if that's all right, man.
Sure.
Like I said, I've been watching it grow, man. It's still growing. So
stop it.
Yeah, I'm happy for you, man. What's next? You got the new studio thing going on.
Thank you.
You got any? I know you probably can't say it. I wouldn't want you to, but do you got any big names coming up or anything like that? Or
coming up? Let me. So, yeah, no, I can tell you. There's no secrets. Let me check.
Not that it only has to be big names.
No.
Measure your success.
No.
Just
douchebag, give me the goods or fuck off. Well, Comstock's coming on again Sunday. Well, I've got like several Sundays in a row with Comstock. So on the 3rd, I'm having on Eben Alexander again, the Proof of Heaven doctor.
I've got that one in my queue.
Nice.
Yeah.
In February, Dr. Lynn Katai, she made the movie about the Phoenix Lights. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I remember hearing Stephen Greer say her name when he was on Rogan on like episode 300, and I went and watched her movie. Phoenix Lights is my favorite UFO site. Nimitz is cool. Phoenix Lights, that does it for me. It's
They weren't flares from A-10s. They weren't Army Golden Knights parachuting out of the back of a C-130. They were not.
Nope.
I've seen military flares from aircraft. I've seen parajumpers, and even when they got the shit on their things to blow the smoke and all that, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that at all. It was a solid object, and there's film of it.
Tons of film.
And hundreds of thousands of eyewitness sightings. So yeah, I'm on board with you. I think the Phoenix Lights are absolutely fascinating.
So, where is it? Fuck. So Phoenix Lights is my favorite UFO sighting because, and also don't forget governor at the time, Fife Symington, former Air Force pilot, who said that is a craft unlike anything I've ever seen. He's like, it wasn't big, it was monstrous. It was the size of a mountain. He was like, someone told me that was a B-2 bomber. He said, no, that's not him. One of the witnesses said, that's a B-2 bomber. He said, no, you could land our entire fleet of B-2 bombers on the wings of this thing. It was...
Kurt Russell was out flying that day.
Of course Kurt Russell was.
And he called in that sighting as well.
Yeah. Dr. Lynn Katai's movie, Phoenix Lights, I think it's called Beyond Top Secret or something.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
Dude. And she made a new, they made like a 20-year edition video of it. It's even...
Didn't see that one.
Oh, it's fucking great, dude. It's like $1 on Amazon. Well, I don't use Amazon anymore, but it's...
I do. Fuck it. I'll get it.
Fuck yeah. Nice. You're still on the dark side. I'll use you. But dude, it is for now. But dude, it is... I love it. And so, and I know I gotta let you go. I keep getting distracted. Let me pull it off what I wanted to. So, here we go. So I'm gonna text it to you right now. On the channel Found and Explained, they talk about something that I talked about on this podcast, episode 136. I talked about something called the Lockheed Martin CL-1201. It was, I know I got to let you go. Give me 5 more minutes and then I'll wrap it up. It's called the Lockheed Martin CL-1201. It was proposed by Lockheed Martin in 1969. It was contracted as a think tank thing from the Pentagon, saying what is the maximum sized aircraft you can build using the technology present today. Forget about funding. Forget about, do we have the materials today? Could you build it? Why do we need to do that? It's 69, turbulent time, 6 years after Kennedy's death. What happens in a Cold War future, because we're still 20 years from the end of the Cold War, what would happen if the bases around the world stopped letting the U.S. there? What would we be? How would we be able to have force projection? Well, obviously we can't get aircraft carriers inland, or can we? And so they came up with it. So it was an aircraft carrier. And it had a wingspan of 1,146 feet, which is wider than the Chrysler building is tall. Okay? Almost at...
that thing?
Well, that's the thing. Is it had VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. It had 182 747 engines in the wings that could point vertical. And it would take off, and then it would start to kind of like an F-35. It would get forward momentum. And then once it got to, I think, 30,000 feet in cruising speed, it would flip those off and it'd turn on a 1 or a 2.8 gigawatt nuclear reactor. It could carry 3,996 troops. It had a crew of 845. It carried 22 F-4 Phantoms under the wings that could take off and land in the wings. It could carry something like 6,900 tons of equipment. It could stay airborne for 41 days. And then not only that, you wouldn't just send one. These things would fly in packs of 6. and you'd have one, and one would be, all the others were LSAs, logistic support aircraft, and these were ones that carried troops. You could carry entire like divisions of tanks, and they had these things called MTAs, medium transport aircraft, or medium theater aircraft. They're about the size of a 737. They would come up to the back of the CL-1201, and you could dock 5 at a time using these. Instead of refueling, imagine if the refuel thing was like a bendable tunnel, and a clamshell apparatus would suck onto the front of the thing, and then troops would be able to get onto there. They would disconnect. And then these would go, so the CL-1201 would stay no closer than 600 miles from the battle. So they'd be way out there in the distance at 30,000 feet, like Mach 0.8, just kind of cruising in these huge holding patterns. These medium transport aircraft would come, pick up soldiers, and then these would just be like, right, those would act as paratroopers. They would come, pick up tanks and stuff, and then they'd go airdrop the tanks. And then you'd have the AAC is the one with the fighter jets, and that's the one that they would provide air support. These were going to have like tons of CWIS and phalanx systems on them, but they were also going to be, they wanted to use like lasers to shoot down incoming missiles.
Jeez.
This is insane, and it's my favorite thing ever because there's nothing sexier.
Well, it's literally a flying fortress.
It is 4 times wider than a 747. Okay.
Yeah.
I made an episode 136, talking about it because I've been trying to get this into like the public eye more and more.
How you put off these episode numbers is just, it's crazy.
Well, no,
You're really good with numbers in your memory.
No. That one I looked up and I put it in a post. I couldn't remember which one it is.
Oh, okay. I was like, holy shit, man. You should spit this stuff off.
Some of them I can. 95, Mike Durant. 96, Paul Whitcomb. 161, Brigadier General Robert Spall. Some of them I can. Yeah. 216, Charlie Duke. But this whole thing, so I made an episode about that, and I was like, I never see any like cool YouTube channels make them. I've been trying to. If you Google CL-1201, like the top like 15 results are all Imgur and Reddit accounts that are mine, and it's me like seeding them because I want people to start following it more because it's the sexiest thing that was never built. And so I remember when I posted it one time, someone said, "Oh shit, I wonder if that's what the Phoenix Lights was." And it melted my mind because I was like, oh my God, what if that was the Phoenix Lights? This video came out on a channel called Found and Explained, and he actually made like animated models of the CL-1201. He put it out like a week ago. Oh my God, I am in love because it's brought to life. You need to watch the video just to get the scope of it. It will melt your mind. That's what I think the Phoenix Lights is. There's really no purpose to that whole rant other than I love that jet. And
what about stealth blimp?
Oh, I love the idea of the stealth blimp. I remember that from our Special Access.
The Lucid.
Yeah.
Stealth jet.
Yeah. I mean that.
Stealth blimp.
That would make sense too, dude. If you could have like an active camouflage blimp, right? Yep. No noise, just floating around. It would be brilliant. It'd be brilliant. Yeah. I see more of like satellites replacing that. I don't know. I also don't know anything about it. Yeah. I also don't know anything about ISR, so you know. But I've kept you 10 minutes longer than I said I was going to keep you. My buddy Josh Newman, Reality Playground Podcast. That will be in the description. It'll be sticky in the top comment. Just go subscribe. If you like this podcast, you like Josh's, just go subscribe. Josh has given me guests before. He's my homie, as you can tell. He's a cool dude. Look in the background. You can see his Bob Lazar posters. That's why I respect and love you. That and that alone. I don't support your bestiality, or I don't support your North Korean leanings. And frankly,
live and let live, Thomas.
Frankly, I think Interpol should have executed you when they first apprehended you. But I respect.
Yeah, they didn't, motherfucker. They didn't.
Yeah, well, I respect your ability to evade. You've got that El Chapo energy, and for all of you psychos, no, he's not. He's a United States Armed Forces veteran with a beautiful family. He's a badass. I love you, Josh. Please go subscribe. You, thank you. Please go subscribe. And again, please go subscribe. Hold on. Let's pull it up right now. So I'll be able to tell if any of you motherfuckers actually subscribed or not. We're gonna do this.
So I'm doing the videos kind of intermittently between podcasts, and I don't always want to do defense videos. So I kind of decided I was going to take a little break through the holidays and stuff, and just kind of figure out. I'm going to do it on a bunch of different topics, but
Like
you know, it's not always going to be like a top 5 or something. Sometimes it'll be, I don't know.
Just do whatever. Yeah. That's what this is.
It's going to be whatever.
That's what this podcast is. There's no fucking. It's just whatever. You got to keep it loose and fun, or you're not going to keep doing it.
That's exactly it. So, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Right now, I'm looking. Josh has 21 subscribers. I will know for a fact if you didn't subscribe, and I will.
You're assuming people are going to make it to the end of this podcast, man.
Well, then no, because I said it at the beginning as well. All right. So go subscribe. If you don't, I will go on a hunger strike. And some of you may be saying that could be good for you, Tom. You've got a couple extra LBs. And to that, I say, words hurt. So I'll let you go, man. It's been 12 minutes over. Thank you, my friend. And
make Tommy skinny.
All right, make Tommy skinny. And let's hope. Let's just hope that everything works out well.
Hey, man, you know, if we can talk like we're doing now, you know what I mean? I think there's hope.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, if we're the 2 smartest assholes in the room, there's a problem.
Then the whole world is fucked.
Yeah. So.
All right,
good to talk to you, buddy.
All right, buddy. You as well. I'll see you.
See ya.